What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. I am coming to you from the West Coast, San Francisco. I'm not going to give my location, but hey, it makes the point why we are starting late because it is early here. It is 8 a.m. in the hotel lobby, but we're going to make it work because it's 11 a.m. After 11 a.m. Eastern. But most importantly, we have the crew. We got the crew in the building. Two of the three are in the building. And you know what we do. This is Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we do it rough, rugged, and raw. We bring you all the funk from the sports world and business world, entertainment world, and give it to you all in one recording. So this Friday, because I'm coming to you from the West Coast, we started a little late. Got two of the three in the building. We're going to bring the heat. Fasten your seatbelt. If you have never been a part of the experience that is known as, internationally known as the Ball Hog Sports, I promise you, you're in for a treat. We ask you, like we do every week, we ask you humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know. Please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast because it's about to go down. It's about to go down. This is your warning. It's about to go down. Make sure you tag somebody. We got a whole bunch of stuff we got to get into. We're going to talk about this game that they played called Super Bowl LVII, whatever the hell that means. We're going to talk about some NBA stuff. We're going to talk about some NIL stuff. And we're going to do it all rough, rugged, and raw. So with no further ado, boys and girls, cats and rats, dogs and frogs, we're going to bring to you the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go.
In the building once again is on like we never even left the microphone. That's the best I could do with some bars. You know what it is? It's two of the three of us, man. We in the building. And
it only takes two. It only takes two. We don't need the big three. Jordan only needed Pippen, right? That's what they say. We don't need we only got to get LeBron. Don't have to have Bosh, and you know what I'm saying. But that's against my narrative. Hold on, that's against my narrative.
I was about to say because
sometimes you just get caught up and just start running your mouth and you realize I don't want to go there.
You just said something anti-LeBron. Stop tripping, man. But I'll tell you this, man. We both wore the black shirts today without planning it.
I got black on black, man.
Black on black. I'm in Silicon Valley.
Even, man, look, it's Black History Month, man. I ate my water bottle black. What are we doing, man? I got Biggie in the back. Man, come on,
you got the whole rip going.
What you be about?
we got to start off with happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Whose birthday?
To an icon, to someone that everybody knows. I was talking about you first, man. I was going to give you your birthday first.
I'll get my flowers. Yeah,
come on, man. The Big Flow Show in the building. He turned right young age. I ain't going to give nobody his age on here, but I will say each birthday is a milestone. This one is yet another milestone. But most importantly, man, without this day, we don't have this personality, this larger-than-life personality, man, the myth, the legend, thou should be known as Mr. Mid-Coast. We don't have you without this day. So happy birthday. It was yesterday. Man. Happy birthday yesterday to our own Big Flow Show. Any birthday comments, my brother?
Well, I done made – it's halftime, right? Sports Steve's halftime. I'm 50, right? I'm 50 years old.
I'm glad you said that. I wasn't going to say it.
I plan to be 100, but I had to explain because we started a little late today, man. I need extra nap. I had to take a nap. I woke up this morning.
You woke up just to take a nap.
I got a sweater on. You know what I mean? I got myself a little sweater like old folk. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to drink some tea, maybe smoke a pipe. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. But 50 is crazy, man. I don't know how we got to this point, but
I'm gonna tell you how amazing. You did 49.999, and then you woke up one
kept
day.
It going. And I leaned to the tape, but it's not the tape though. This is the tape. This is the time I touched the wall. Now I'm headed back. I'm not going. This isn't going to be a quick one right here. We're going to keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
But it's pleasurable, man. It's pleasurable, man. And I like that. After me, greatness goes in succession, right?
Right.
So I turned 50 yesterday. Michael Jeffrey Jordan turned 60 today. He waits on me every year. He waits on me to get mine in. And then
That's
when
how
I'm
you
done,
know you great. One
when
greater
I'm
than Mike,
done,
like
I
Kobe.
let
You one
Jordan
greater
know,
than Mike.
hey, it's on you now. And he'll be all right,
Hey,
man. You
man.
good? You kicked it? You swung
Right.
it? It's you? All
Nah,
right.
he's good. Nah, he's good. So Michael Jordan also celebrates his birthday today on February 17th. We had Big Flo yesterday. So to all of the what was
Aquarius.
Aquarius. All the Aquarius.
Don't act like you didn't know that. Don't act like
all
you
the
didn't know.
Aquarius is out there. Happy birthday.
Aquarii, I think.
Aquarii. It's him and I. Aquarii. I will say this, my brother. On this episode of You Make the Call, it's been a great week of sports, but it's also been a controversial week of sports. And we are going to start this show off by paying our respects. Paying our respects to a young man who, 12 years old, is doing a off-season workout as I'm getting ready to coach my own football team and reaching out to parents. This one hit home hard for me, and really sort of got me to move emotionally because a 12-year-old kid, I'm coaching 12-year-olds in Essex County. I live in Essex County, who was doing an off-season preseason workout. We've got one of those coming up on Sunday. Collapses on the field due to whatever exhaustion and fatigue and maybe not being hydrated. He collapses on the field, and none of the coaches know how to resuscitate him or apply CPR. The emergency response team takes about 30 minutes to get there. And as celebratory as the Damar Hamlin moment was, to hear about a 12-year-old losing his life because they just couldn't respond in a timely fashion is heartbreaking. So we start this show off, not to make it so somber, but to recognize just how precious life is. We celebrated your birthday and that other guy, what's his name, Michael Jordan's birthday today, whoever he is.
I think he hooped a little bit.
Hooped a little bit.
Yeah.
But we did want to we wanted to make this comment up front and put it up front because it's important. We're going to talk about it. So if you would, just for a minute, let's have a brief moment of silence for Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia, 12-year-old young man who was playing for the Essex County Predators here in New Jersey. Although I'm not here in New Jersey, but very close to me. I know the organization well. I don't know any coaches, but to know that there's been an organization ripped apart, a community that's been ripped apart, and more importantly than any of those, a family that's been ripped apart. The order of things, you're not supposed to bury a 12-year-old, something that seems to be very preventable, like the incident there. So for Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia of the Essex County Predators, let's take a very brief but meaningful moment of silence. 12 years old, man. We both have sons that play football. We both have sons that have been involved in some pretty intense workouts. We both have sons that have looked at times. I always say, man, you look out of shape, but look as though they've gotten to the point of exhaustion. But neither one of us, thankfully, thank God, neither one of us have experienced that level of loss. To have your son die in that moment. This episode, man, we got to talk about sort of, let's talk about why, and we don't want to stay on it too long, but why do you think that they left the young man? It doesn't seem like anyone tried to administer CPR while he was there in wait of the emergency response team. As a coach, someone who's coached before, what do you think is going into that moment as the coaches are watching them? Obviously, they probably did not have CPR training or they would have used it. They probably didn't have an AED or they would have used it. Maybe there was an AED there and they did not know how to use it. But now it forces all of us. We're reactionary as a country. And I know our program, my youth football program, we've already talked about it. We all need to get CPR training. We all need to understand where the AED is in our part and know how to use it. But let's talk about this young man, because 12 years old, he dies right there on the field. Why don't you think anyone tried anything?
Fear. I mean, I think it's unfortunate. Some people freeze up and they're scared. Oftentimes people don't appreciate you, Lionel. Lionel Phillips gave me happy birthday wishes for those of us listening and not watching. So I'm going to say thank you to all those, because can't hear it enough. I don't want to miss one of these birthdays, so appreciate you. Anyway, I think there's a lot of fear involved. People get like lawsuits and different things, don't want to help. People are just so nervous and they clam up. I know when I coached football for the 9 years, we had to get certified, and when we got certified, part of it you had to have a heat stroke plan. But you really just had to say you had a heat stroke plan. I don't really know that you had to actually go do anything. And I think program wide, the coaches, and we were, I was part of the Naperville Patriots, I think 9-time national champion, big program. They're still around, but the man that ran the program is that when I was there has passed it on, as they end up doing sometimes as their kids get older, they pass it on. And we had sometimes as many as 14 teams out there. And I will say that we didn't have and we were at a huge park behind the church, huge. Right. So like it would, if you tried to call 911, I didn't know the address. I knew the name of the church, but I didn't know the address. I didn't really know anything. I will say that we never had anything more than like a catastrophic break, like a bad leg break or arm break, whatever. And
right.
At that point, nothing happened. No one lost a limb or anything like that. But I will say I used to always wonder what would happen, man, if something bad happens. Like, what's the plan? Because a lot of times you're in practice. Sometimes people leave their phone in the car. You were a couple hundred yards from your car. Someone had to sprint, but we didn't really have that. And I think unfortunately, some kid has to die for this to happen. But all the coaching programs out there are going to have to sit there and think, do we have a plan? What would we do?
Do we have a plan?
Yeah. It's something as easy as saying, a code word. You know what I mean? Like, what do we say when the ball, when the ball goes in the air, you don't want anyone to touch it? What's the word you use when the ball for a punt comes down?
Depends. Peter or
poison, Peter,
poison,
whatever.
Something.
Everybody in the stadium knows exactly what's going on, right? Because that's very important. We don't want to turn the ball over, so it's easy. So when you have somebody who goes down like that, I'm suggesting there should be a code word that all practices stop and the plan is kicked in. Someone starts yelling the word, everyone's responding, and people took off. Someone goes sprinting for the AED or whatever it is. Someone takes off and does it because you coach a switch every year. People don't remember where the key to the shed is. People don't know how to get this, that, and the other. So there needs to be something like that, because you just would hate to think that this kid could have easily been saved if people just talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, and I said it when we watched the Damar Hamlin situation unfold, and we gave flowers to the trainer and the response team that saved his life because they administered CPR in real time and literally brought life back to him. I said it then as like, man, he was fortunate to be in an NFL game, because not all game situations are equal. A high school game doesn't have all that. A youth football game definitely doesn't have all of that. When it comes to sophistication and know-how of the medical staff that's on site, the NFL is unique in having the most qualified people right there. But I didn't think within less than a month later, we'd be mourning the loss of a 12-year-old kid. And because it's a preseason workout situation, there's probably even less steps put in place, less measures and precautions at their fingertips, because it's not even a game.
And in this episode of You Make the Call,
yes, the coaches and those who were on site did make the call to 911, but they also had to make a call in that moment to not try to administer CPR, to not try to do something. And that's the part that I think is tragic. The mom has said all the right things, that the young man died doing what he loves to do. But as an adult who is in charge of kids and parents have entrusted me to put those kids in my care, to think that a call that I make to not try to do something even if my CPR training is rusty at best, led to a 12-year-old losing his life, would really that would traumatize me for the rest of my own natural life. And so there's a lot of grief in this one story, but I did want to make sure that we paid respect to Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia, and also wanted to make sure we brought this up to challenge other youth football programs, other youth football coaches. To know better is to do better. We've got to make sure that Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia does not die in vain, and that other programs take the necessary steps. Dot your I's, cross your T's, take that training. And if a young man's life was on the line, and I'm just thinking, if it was one of our sons, we would rather you make the call to at least try and fail, right? In error, at least we know there was an attempt. I think the fact that there was never an attempt to resuscitate this young man, it baffles me. And I understand it too, out of fear. But in those moments when you make the call, we're teaching these young people about how to be level-headed and how to be good decision makers at the most heightened emotional moments in a game. And the most important emotional moment in this young kid's life, right there on the football field, unfortunately was met with people making the call to do nothing. And I don't want to say do nothing, but not do enough. And that is sad because it seems preventable. But God rest his soul. I'll give you last word on it, Big Flow Show, before we roll on.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else comes from this, it just, I'm just thinking in my mind right now, and I honestly, we are reactionary. I never thought of it before. Is it would be so easy to make a plan, right? Let's get a coaches meeting together and say, all right, what are we going to do about XYZ? What are we going to do? What's going to be the action word? What are people going to go do? And then every year you do the same thing. And, I'm sure that, most people have a AED by the building. I never knew where one was. We were by a church. I'm sure they probably had 12 of them in there. I never knew where it was. Someone would just had to take the initiative to take one off the building and bring it into the practice field and leave it on the table and then put it back at every practice. And you'd have a plan, and that could be the difference. Now, luckily, again, it never happened. And most people think it's never going to happen, so they don't prepare for it. So I don't know. I'm not trying to vilify the coaches. They didn't know, right? They didn't want this kid to die. They didn't know. So don't get that to be the message. But I just think we should just have better plans around and just take this to become a movement.
Yeah. There was a WNBA player by the name of Tina Charles, who I had the good fortunes of meeting, and an AED saved her aunt in some situation, and she was on this personal voyage to just enlighten everyone about AEDs and how to use them. Make sure that in sporting environments that AEDs were indeed on hand, and that there was someone there equipped to use them. And so I don't know where she's at with her. And this was all in her own time, her spare time, and her philanthropic endeavors. So I don't know where she is with it. But this reminds me of just how important it is for all of us to know where the AEDs are located in a park, at a gym, at a football field, and have someone on hand at all times that knows how to use it. Because the thing really does talk you through it. Right now with the technology, they've gotten so good that it'll talk you through what you should be doing, or walk you through it. But Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia, we pay our respects to you. Our moment of silence is in honor of your life in short 12 years on this earth. You've done a lot to enlighten the rest of us as coaches who are in the care of young people as athletes. So. It'd be tough though, because you're watching someone and you're thinking, I don't know what to do. Let's move on from the specific topic and talk more broadly about it. Is that, I hate to even bring this up, but as a lawyer, there's all these tort claims about people that tried to administer some saving Heimlich maneuver or something to save someone and did more damage than good. And so maybe because we're so litigious that our country, people just don't want to get involved. Like, I don't want to mess up, because then you could look and point directly at me that it's my fault versus, in this particular case, it's no one's fault and everyone's fault, but you can't point to anyone in particular, right? I don't know what I'd prefer. I know if it was my own child, I'd prefer you mess up full speed.
I mean, again, I'm as my brain sits here, I'm thinking, we have all these different awareness months and stuff, but like, why don't we do an AED awareness month as a country? Every building that you ever frequent, that you're going to be a frequent, they should have an orientation that says, "Hey, this is where you go in case of a fire." Right? We used to do fire drills as kids. We used to talk about the different tornado drills, and it was like, okay, we both know now. I'm 50. I still remember getting to an interior wall, crouch in the position, tuck your head. Like you still remember it because they just showed it to you. But what if they just every building you ever worked in, you go work downtown Chicago or downtown New Jersey, wherever you're going to be in, Newark, I should say, whatever you're going to be in, and then they say, all right, hey, you open the building. Let's just let you know, okay, this is where the exits are, and this is where the AED is. Let everybody, when you join a health club and your orientation, you walk a person through and say, hey, listen, this is the bathroom, locker room. Hey, this is where the AED is. If anyone ever go down, yell for a trainer and then go get this. Everybody in the health club, one of you guys is going to remember. Just little things like that, because you hear about people say they didn't know where this AED was. People looked this long and they couldn't find it. The person died. That's just so simple of a fix. That you hate to see it happen. So
yeah. I mean, we know where the hole in the gate is that we can get a shortcut, so we ain't got to pay to get into a park. We know where the freaking
everything.
I told on myself. Sorry.
We know that thing gonna be boarded up tomorrow. But all right, people will see at the gate. So, but yeah, as we jump, it seems sometimes information transfer is so simple, and we just don't think to do it. So
we just don't think to do it. So, well, let's hop into some other stuff, man, because there was another game that they don't let us say Super Bowl in our advertising. They make us call it the big game, and it was LV2. And I don't know why they still go by Roman numerals. I'd rather just call it. Let's ask the audience if they know what LV2 is. Does anybody know what LV2
did you know? If you know now, did you know before the game? Because
I'm trying to look it up.
I had to take my shoes off and start counting.
I was messed up with the L. I used to know Roman numerals. It seemed like niggas such in the past, right? It's like in cursive. But nobody writing cursive anymore. It's a thing of the past. Who is Roman? Right? But LV2, Super Bowl LV2 went down, and it was the culmination. It was the exclamation point to a great season. Great game. 4 quarters, back and forth football. 2 amazing young black quarterbacks who I think put themselves in a whole different category when it comes to where they rank in Super Bowl history. That was a battle, right? That was you're going to remember that forever. There are some winners and losers. And for this particular segment of You Make the Call, let's go through that, those winners and losers. You make the call. We want our audience to chime in, like always. We want you to like, comment, share. Please chime in on this particular part of the show, because there are some sub stories to the game. The first one is the halftime show. There were a lot of tweets. There were a lot of text exchanges. There are a lot of commentary as it pertains to Rihanna. You make the call. Do you think she did a great job? Do you think it was terrible? Is it somewhere in between? Should we give her a little more of a pass? Because people say she's just boring. She's sitting there, just singing. Which I'm like, she ain't just singing. It was a very melodious tune that she was holding. But we've gotten accustomed to people doing backflips and magic tricks while they sing. And Rihanna just opened up her catalog and stood on her material. She was not scantily clad. We've gotten used to that when it comes to performers. Men, women, and anything that you can think of are normally, every person and every prop that they have in the Super Bowl is normally scantily clad. She was not. We found out that she was pregnant. But you make the call on this one, man. What do you think? And we ask our audience to chime in. I thought Rihanna sounded wonderful, but I realized quickly that my opinion was being overshadowed by all of the opinions hurled around about Rihanna. What say you?
Well, when it first came on, the way that her clothing, the colors of red, like blended, I wasn't 100% sure if she was pregnant. The conversation was going on. Maybe she had just had a baby and she still had some baby weight. I thought maybe she had a high ankle sprain, and that's what's keeping her kind of a little bit immobile. I wasn't quite sure. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it was genius because we're talking about it. And if she just had a normal performance that was really good, we'd be like, yeah, it was pretty good. So, and we would go on to the next. The fact that it was less than Brianna's best, and the fact Rihanna's best, and the fact that she, went on there anyway pregnant. She pulled a Serena Williams and came out pregnant. She was dangled, above the field 100. I don't know if she was pregnant with my baby, you wouldn't be getting on nobody's stage all the way up there. But I digress. I don't know. I think as a pregnant person, it was a good show. Was it a good show in her standards? No.
I think with pregnant, you can say woman.
What I say?
Not a pregnant person. I think you can actually be gender specific with that one. Ain't been no pregnant
so.
man.
Don't do that to me. Don't start doing that because I'm not. You know what I mean? That's not. I'm not him.
You got to read up on it.
Yeah, but I just think at the end of the day, God bless her for going out there anyway. I'm like, did she not know she was pregnant when she said she was going to do the show? Because it would have been okay.
She wasn't pregnant when they, because they decide the performer pretty early on, and I mean. So whatever goes on in your bedroom probably is not contingent.
Get a hold of her yet. She didn't want to cancel. She had canceled before, so now she didn't want to make a statement. But we would have understood had you said you was pregnant. So I thought it was fine. The music was good. She's got good music. I like the songs. I was in a house that had a lot of teenage girls in it, and they were going crazy. And the songs came out.
There's so many opportunities for follow-up questions to that, but I'm gonna go. I'm
gonna go ahead and I'm gonna explain myself. I was at my friend's house. Shout out to Deion Mitchell. Invited me over for the Super Bowl, and his daughter is probably 17 years old, and she had a lot of her friends over there at the party. So cool. For all those who have weird things that they're thinking, there's nothing weird about that statement. There's a lot of girls in there, and they were going nuts every time the songs came on, and they didn't seem disappointed. And I looked at it like, okay, the Super Bowl's winning because those girls otherwise were not paying much attention to the game as it went on. They were playing around, doing different things. So it got their attention. So
it is amazing that depending on which Super Bowl party you're at, I kind of slept through a bit of the halftime show because I knew it was going to be a good second half. I just needed an old man nap. But other Super Bowl parties, that's the highlight of the entire game.
Or the commercials.
And we'll get to the commercials. But I'm going to go with Rihanna in my response to you make the call. Shout out to her, man, because I couldn't do anything pregnant. First of all, I couldn't be pregnant. So
if you showed up pregnant, we let you just do that.
That'd be a hell of a Friday.
Hold on, man.
I'm gonna try that on Friday.
Let's sit down over here for a minute.
Show up pregnant on y'all ass and see how you respond. But not only could I not do anything pregnant, or I could not be pregnant, if some strange reason I figured out how to become pregnant, I know I wouldn't be performing in front of millions. I just wouldn't do it. I know you wouldn't be suspending me from. I kept thinking that I think she's pregnant. So this has to be an optical illusion. There's no way in God's green earth that she and her husband would have signed off on being suspended from the air like that, being pregnant. But it seemed like
it's funny that she was like, "Look, baby, you can go up there and risk your life, but not my baby." Like, really, you're not supposed to let your wife be up there anyhow. But hey, I digress.
But shout out to her, man. I thought she did a good job. Her catalog is extensive, and shout out to her, man. And while I did take a little quick nap, there were adult women at my house. I had them teenagers like you did, but adult women who my wife and my homeboys, his wife, were really into it. And then her daughter, her oldest daughter, who's an adult, 25 plus years old. So, but they were really into it. And the Super Bowl keeps winning because they appeal to so many audiences. You look at the ASL performer who's doing the American Sign Language performer. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was into it. So
they made a bigger deal about that this year. I feel like they announced who the ASL Sign Language performer was all the time, as if it was like. Do they have like stars in that industry? Do they have like?
I'm assuming.
Like, do they have people that sign autographs? Like, oh man, there goes Bobby Brown. He's so. And he come up. Hey, am I doing? Is that derogatory? I don't want to be derogatory.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you might have actually said something. You might have cursed. I don't know.
What let me erase it. I don't want to erase. But you know what I'm saying? They really made a big deal about him this year. And I was like, okay, I didn't know there were stars. Shout out to the big stars.
He erased it. From the whiteboard of your mind, let me erase that. Let's talk about some other stuff in the game, man, because the halftime show was what it was. Commercials, that one commercial that had everyone looking at their control. I was the first person that caught it.
The Tubi?
I was the first person that was like, yeah, was it Tubi?
Somebody said they cussed their wife out until they found out it was a Tubi commercial.
Change the channel.
You know what's funny? At our Super Bowl party, because, you know, the fat guy, see, when you fat, the people blame you a lot. So at my Super Bowl party, everyone blamed me for sitting on the remote.
Get your fat ass up.
They were like, get off the remote, man. I'm like, I'm not even on it, man. It's like, buy me. And they're all accusing me of stuff. So,
that's funny.
Which is good, because you know what? I don't remember any other commercials except for that one, because I got
that one was a big one. But the meme that I saw said, oh, man, I got to repair the relationship with my mother-in-law. I called her a bitch.
That's what I saw. I saw that same meme. I called her a bitch because I thought she changed the channel. Everybody was on me though. They were like, Reg, come on, man, you're on the controller. I'm like, I'm not on it, man. I've been sitting in the same spot the whole time.
It won by far, right? Because we're still talking about it. Everybody looked it up. And then there was the evangelist, who they obviously have a bunch of money, because there was an evangelism commercial series, and I'll mess it up because it's several days later. But those were the two commercials for me. The series, I'm like, man, they must have a lot of money. Those are very expensive ads that they're running. And praise God, praise them over and over again. But man, you have that much money to buy these ads. But at our Super Bowl party, it was very, very, very small. Just a family friend, their family came over. But everyone started looking, and I felt so proud that I was the first one to figure out, hey, man, that's just a commercial. Y'all chill out. Because I had the control by me. And then I went into, y'all old, man. Y'all don't realize y'all old.
There you go.
Yeah. I took that moment to make
there you go.
Oh, yeah, they ain't realize technology, baby. I'm in it. But to me, those are the two commercials. For those who are in the audience, live audience, you're listening, please weigh in. What do you think was the best commercial? How did you respond to Tubi? That's the one, right? Tubi.
Did you call your mother-in-law out of her name, or did you quickly look at the fat guy in the room? Because you're wrong.
Share your stories. Share your stories, because they created a reaction. Right? They created a reaction universally. In that moment, everyone is like, what's going on? So let us know how you guys responded to it. Then the football. What did you think about the game? You make the call. Best Super Bowl in recent history. We've had some great ones. You had those two back-to-back years where you won on the last play at the San Antonio home. We had some years where they were just every year, bang, bang, bang. They were great finales. The endings were amazing. But to me, pound for pound, that game was exhilarating and exciting. You didn't know who was going to win from the very first kickoff to the last play of the game, including
great.
Jalen Hurts, Hail Mary attempt at the end. You didn't know who was going to win.
Sorry, though. What happened with that?
That was sorry. No, I think I don't know. He might have, somebody showed him that commercial. He thought the game was over. I don't know what the hell was going on.
It was on Tubi.
That was a bad throw. Bad throw. Yeah,
that was a bad throw. It wasn't even a good attempt. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. He's running quarterback. No, I thought it was a great game. I had picked Kansas City. I know she didn't mention that. I picked Kansas City and you picked the Eagles. But I picked them to win the game. So
I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, I was going to get there.
You glad I brought it up?
Your prediction was right. Mine was wrong. That's one way to you make the call. Go ahead.
However, I feel that I was nervous for a long time during that game. I was nervous. I was thinking that it was Jalen's year. So it's interesting with this game, because I know we're going to segue a little bit into the GOAT conversation. But you look at a game like that and you say, all right, and this is the problem I have when you factor in wins and losses sometimes into things. In the Michael Jordan conversation, we talk about championships with LeBron and different things versus statistics and individual performance. I look at it and say, okay, at the end of the day, they're saying Mahomes beat Hurt, but Hurt did more than Mahomes did. But his defense, and some would argue the refs, I think that's whiny. But he can't cover people and not PI him. He can't do anything about that. Statistically, he had a better game than Mahomes, but they're going to say Mahomes beat him. And that's the part of like the sports thing that kind of gets me a little frustrated sometimes. I'm like, look, 300 yards, he rushed for 3 touchdowns. He got every 3rd and 4th down on his own. You knew it was coming. You couldn't stop him. He was a Mack truck. He's the fullback of quarterbacks. But it wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. Now his inexplicable fumble that resulted
Yeah.
in a touchdown is also going to be one of the plays that those who want
Mahomes
to
didn't hit
still
him,
be a
though.
detractor. I know, but those who want to be a detractor, because there are people out there who still are like, the jury is out, right? Because Jalen Hurts more than likely is going to get paid. They're going to renegotiate that contract. It should already be 99% of the way done if they're smart, right? He's played his way out of his rookie deal. And so he's going to get paid. There are those who still are detractors, and one of the things that they're going to use, two things, though maybe three. They'll use that pass at the end, but they'll use the result. You lost. And then they'll also use that play that, if you think about it, is very similar to his national championship run, the first one where he got benched for Tua. There's just always this one play, like scratch your head, and that was the play that the detractors will use. Now, I'm just sort of 8-miling them and using what they will use before they use it, because I think that is senseless. But there are people that will try to say,
I mean, that fumble was a fluke. It wasn't like he wasn't protecting the ball. He just dropped the ball.
which, the proverbial drop the ball is, then they ended up losing. That was the difference in the game. You take away those 7 points, and you're looking at a very different game at halftime. Now,
The only thing you have
Patrick
a problem with
Mahomes,
that
Andy
is when
Reid, Eric
something when
Bieniemy.
that happens early in the game, we act as if that wouldn't impact some difference again. The game changes completely if that doesn't happen, right? Like, who knows? First of all, it wasn't like they just were going to walk in the end zone. Like, they still had to score, right?
Right. They were
And it
still in their
wasn't.
own
So
territory. They
I
weren't.
have a hard time when you say, "Well, that was the difference." The difference in the
I'm not
game
saying
and the
that.
end of the game is okay, but when you say the difference is a play that happens in the first half, you have a totally different game plan. They're down to what was the halftime score? You remember?
I think they were up 10. I think they were up 10. I don't have it
Could have been up
at my
17.
fingertips, but I'm pretty certain that they were up 10. Again, I told you I took an old man nap during halftime, and I was focused on Rihanna because she was just looking at me and singing right at me, right in front of my wife. Just disrespectful, Rihanna. You just disrespectful. But anyway,
See, my wife's still here.
so I don't remember what the score was, but it was still a very close game. Now, I do remember Kansas City came out and opened up a can of you know what. Not really, but they did come back and show that they were a different team. Literally, right when the ball was kicked after halftime, they looked as though their approach was different and that they had been awoken by something, whether it be an Andy Reid speech or whether, I don't know what it was, a Patrick Mahomes speech. I don't know what it was, but they look like a different team. So yes, thank you, Chufu Jordan, one of our live audience members, gives us the halftime score 24-14. So yes, it was a 10-point game.
So yeah, you make that 7. If you take that, make it 24-7. It's tough.
That's tough.
But then
right?
again, that's not necessarily going to happen the way it happened. That's the only thing I had to say. It's not necessarily going to happen that way. But you're right. Point taken is that was a huge play in the game. But hey, it happens. At the end of the day, they still had a chance to win, and other people didn't step up.
My man Chufu Jordan, he knows the score because he hit that pot. He hit that the pool. He hit that number. So yeah, play that number. But I don't. I know you said that that's a whiny way to describe the game, to qualify it because of the call at the end. But in this episode of You Make the Call, we got to discuss it. Holding call at the end that I don't think changes the path of the receiver. And for those of you who said, "Oh man, but he was holding him in the beginning." It was the initial contact happened within that liberal zone of almost anything goes. Contact goes. So that wasn't a penalty. That happened at about 3 yards. He made it look like it was going to be a whip route, a very short whip route. He's coming back out. When he's coming back out, the defensive back either reads it, maybe it was supposed to be a whip route, and reroutes him, meaning that because of the contact, he's got to figure something else out. And these are automatic adjustments that the receiver and the quarterback knows are built into that route. But it was his left hand on the reroute when he then goes up the sideline, turns a whip into basically a whip and go, if you will. That left hand is what was called. yes, it's a penalty, but
You
I
know,
don't know. I don't not in that moment, not when it's been a penalty-free game when they've let these guys play. And I know you called it whiny. And look, I picked the Eagles. I wanted Jalen Hurts, my fraternity brother, and I think it's a great story. I wanted that story to have a better ending. So I might be looking at it in a different way. I might be biased, but I'm trying to be objective when I see that play and put it in the context of the game that they've let these players play the whole game. And I think I'm saying this objectively. I gotta say it was a bad call.
the only thing about the call is I didn't see the flag till late. I don't know if it was a late flag. If it's a late flag, it's a little tougher for me to go. Depending on the angle of the ref, when you see someone's arms are wrapped around somebody and he's trying to go and you don't have the depth, you don't really get to see because it didn't seem like he held him very strong. Like he got his arms there. Didn't seem like he pulled really hard. But judging on the angle.
You would look for Juju Schuster-Smith's shoulders to turn or hip. None of that happened. He didn't really alter what his path.
And the throw was so bad,
speed,
right?
Throw was terrible. So you had to call holding versus pass interference because we know it's an uncatchable ball. So it's an uncatchable ball that the hand slows him down, but I don't know if it really changes his
depends on
route.
when the flag was thrown. If the flag appeared to be a little late to me when I saw it, or maybe they just picked it up on TV.
I think it was the angle. No, it wasn't. Because I thought so too. I think the TV angle, the camera angle they gave us, just didn't allow us to see the flag. The other angle looks like it was done when he saw it. It wasn't like a late flag.
So here's the thing: is when he saw it, he doesn't know where the flag's the pass is going to go. Like the pass becomes a trash pass, but like when he held on, the ball was just getting into the air or just about to get into the air, and then it was a trash pass. So it's like he sees the angle, bang bang, he throws it, PI, and they let it get a PI away anyway. But here's the thing: I also look at that. So people act like the game was over. So now they were already in field goal range. So now it's fourth down. They kick a field goal and play defense for 2 minutes, and Eagles have a chance to come back and win. But let's not make it seem like that penalty got them into field goal. I mean, that's even less than the guy from the Bengals that hit him late out of bounds, which was an idiotic play. Where now it's questionable whether or not they can make a field goal. This is against in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I know. So.
Yeah, when the penalty, he hits him out of bounds, and like, all right, well, could he have? The kick he made, he couldn't have made from 15 yards further. Not to say he couldn't have made the kick, but he couldn't have made it from 15 yards further. That's more controversial from a standpoint. I think that penalty was absolutely correct because the guy was way out of bounds, or Mahomes was way out of bounds. But going back to this, they were in field goal range, so it was incomplete pass. They would have kicked it. There would have been. Was it already past 2-minute warning?
It doesn't matter. I don't remember. I think so.
Pass.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't matter. Incomplete pass anyway.
Incomplete
so
pass,
they still have to.
But it gives you. That play, though,
it gives you a chance.
Yeah, because that was third and 4.
Yeah, but it was at the 20. They were at the 20-yard line or 25-yard line. So they would have kicked the field goal and made it.
But
so
that
now
changes
they just
the entire game in terms of your options from that point forward. So we can at least agree that it changes.
You have a chance, and now you didn't.
Especially because you're putting Jalen Hurts on the field. That at that point was the best player in that stadium.
Yeah.
He was the best player in the stadium that night. So you're preventing the best player from the stadium from getting back on the field. And I get what you're saying. It's like we don't know what would have happened. He very well could have tried it back on the field and lost the ball again inexplicably, like he did in the first half. So we don't know, but the not having the opportunity to see it because of that call under the conditions of that game where they let a lot go on. And people will say, yeah, but it was a call. I'm like, yeah, on every play there is an infraction. The refs have the discretion whether or not to call it. And I just think in that moment, I don't know, man. I just hate that call.
Well, let me ask you this.
I hate that call. I'm not saying that's the reason they lost, but I hate that call.
Do you think if now fast forward into the next couple of plays, they decide to let them score a touchdown, right?
Yep.
Do you think that they didn't sell it well enough? I think the guy would have scored a touchdown. In my opinion, he's going to run for a touchdown, but they're so obviously trying to let him score that he thinks to stop. I think
I think what we saw at the end was coaching. That's where Andy Reid and his coaching and him understanding the circumstances, I think, let his team know to expect a defense that isn't playing defense. And we need you to both stay in bounds and be shy of that goal line. And on the other side, I just think that I see, an Eagles team that, yes, I think they were pretty careless in how they sold it, but I would have been coaching as a defense coordinator, coaching my team that if he gets close to that end zone, he is now just like your own running back, someone that you are going to carry across that end zone. You're going to get him into that end zone because that's the only chance we have at this point without timeouts, right? And it's the old thing. What I did like about that is it looked like fundamental football, good coaching was back. It had been revived. You know how many times someone just go in the end zone there because they don't think of the number one rule? You can replace points, you can't replace time. If you don't know that as a football player, to me, you're doing the game a disservice and your football IQ is low. I just think that we saw in Andy Reid and his coaching prowess won. And and not just Andy Reid, because you got to give all the coaches, and we'll get to Eric Bieniemy question because that's still an anomaly to me how he is not being hired as a head coach. But I just think they got out coached, and they should have tried to not only be defenseless, but if he got close, either knock him out of bounds or even better, knock him into the end zone. They didn't do either.
I think if they would have played football and sold it, I remember watching the game, the guys running, and I remember the light bulb went off in my head. All right, they're trying to let him score. Dude should get down. And I feel like I saw the light bulb pop off in his head that he was running. And he was like, "Oh, hold on, this dude's trying to let me score. Let me stop." I think if they try to go play defense on him, they come up on this dude. He's naturally playing football. I might be too much.
My man Jay Crit confirms it too. They talked about that. I mean, he did it too seamlessly. It was, you could tell that it was a part of the plan.
Yeah,
and you can't be mad at Andy Reid. He understands. It's all right. Perfect. I don't want to. Andy Reid doesn't want to go back out there and play defense against the best player in the stadium that night. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was a better quarterback that night than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He was a better football player. So when you're trying to defend against someone that is having a magical moment, the best defense is to not let them get back on the field. And so I know Andy Reid, Jay Crit tells us they discussed it, but Andy Reid, just from a coaching standpoint, I'm going to give him credit that he coached his team up and they did what they needed to do in order to preserve the win. So
what do you make about the lack of pass rush? I mean, that's one of the reasons why you picked the Eagles, I believe, if I can remember from last week, is that you said
the offensive line came to the Super Bowl parade with a shirt that said no sacks. Shocking. That shocked me. That was one of the shocks. That was one of the shocks of the Super Bowl. I thought that the Eagles defense, we had all been talking about them all year. The Eagles rode that wave throughout the playoffs. Now, what scared me is that the Eagles had I don't want to say easy, but much easier path to the Super Bowl. So while we were giving that defense a lot of credit, they faced the Giants, who is a better offense than they've been in previous years, but it's still the Giants and it's still Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley, you can relegate him to just being pedestrian if you commit to stopping the run. And then they beat the 49ers, who, they didn't have a quarterback that could throw, right? Brock Purdy had an injury, and he was essentially their third quarterback, went to the fourth quarterback who got a concussion. So it was, I could see where the defense could be exposed against a team like Kansas City. I thought they played well in the first half, but not only could they not get to the quarterback in the second half, they couldn't find answers. And that ultimately was what cost them the game. Are we talking about Andy Reid in terms of greatest coaches of all time? You pulled up some information on Andy Reid. I don't know if you still have that at your fingertips, but I know he went on a run there in the NFC when he was the Eagles coach. That every year it seemed like they were in the NFC Championship. It feels like they're going on a similar run now in the AFC. They've been in the AFC Championship over Patrick Mahomes' career. It seems like, again, I don't have the number in front of me, but they seem to be there every year. Andy Reid was able to, they call it the Andy Reid Bowl. He was able to beat his former team. And
his postseason record is 22-16. Career record is 269, 154. So one of them is a 58% average, the postseason, and the 64% average basically for regular season. Very good. Coach of the year multiple times, dating back 21 years, which is kind of the thing about it I'm impressed with, is that he's had this long run because he had a great time, with the Eagles, and just thinking about it, he goes back and he beats them for the Super Bowl, and he comes back here. I'm sorry, I don't have the it's not showing.
No worries, but just no, you're good. So when you think of Andy Reid, is it because he does demand the respect? Is that negatively impacting Eric Bieniemy? I do see someone talked about Eric Bieniemy up here.
It has to be. Shelton did.
Shelton, where's it? Oh, there it is, right there. You think that's what's ultimately preventing Eric Bieniemy from getting a job? Because it just, now he's talking about doing potentially a lateral move to another team to be their offensive coordinator. And you look at all of the coaches that had that same shadow of doubt whether or not they're calling the plays that ultimately got an opportunity. Because when you remove that shadow of doubt and give them an opportunity, then whether or not it was their coaching that was influencing the offense. Then whether or not, after you remove that shadow of doubt, if they've got the leadership skills in order to be a head coach. For some reason, that shadow of doubt has prevented Eric Bieniemy from getting a job. Every hiring cycle, this one included, he's being discussed, and every hiring cycle, including this one, he gets passed up. And so it's now starting to be a bit confusing because this offense is amazing. The players, including Patrick Mahomes, make sure they go out of their way to give Eric Bieniemy credit. Andy Reid himself has gone out of his way to not only give Eric Bieniemy credit, but said that, essentially these teams are crazy for not hiring him. And now Andy Reid has come out and said
let's go here. Let's go here. They have take the Texans, right? I mean, they hired Lovie Smith, which we all kind of scratched our head with. They just hired the other coordinator to be there. So there's a few teams out there that'll hire give a black guy a chance as a coach.
Yeah, they hired D'Amico Ryans. Yep.
D'Amico Ryans. None have a better resume than Eric Bieniemy. Maybe he doesn't interview well because if you think there's a lot of guys and coaching is like, man, this guy's a great position coach, but he'll never make a coordinator because of do. Man, this guy's a great coordinator. He's a great X and O's guy. But if you think it, you never see a microphone in front of him. You only see him behind the scenes doing what he's got to go do. And when you become a head coach, it's more than just X's and O's, right? You got to handle the team. You got to be the spokesperson, the face of the team. I don't know what that really means. I don't want to say it because I want to see him get a head coaching job. And I think when you get to know a person, you probably like Andy Reid. Andy Reid doesn't seem like a very judgmental person, but you get to see through some of the other stuff, and you got to get to know the guy. But man, if he comes to the interview and he's not handling himself like a leader, you want to throw all this money in the face of your program on the guy. Maybe that's it, because I can't make any sense out of it. And there's been other black coaches that have gotten chances to me with less credentials than him. Now, obviously, there's way more white coaches that got
Hugh Jackson was January 31st, 1-31 in 2 years, and they still were talking about bringing him back. I don't get it, man.
So Bieniemy, I mean, he came out of Colorado in the years where they were kind of tripping over there a little bit, I don't know. Maybe that's it. I haven't talked to the man. Maybe we get him on the show and we can find out for ourselves.
Let's try to get him on the show, man.
Anybody knows Eric Bieniemy's
tell him to holler at
cell phone number, man. Give him a call. Let him know Ball Hawk Sports Talk would like to give him that interview. And this is not the Rooney Rule. We want to give him a real interview.
We'll give him a real interview, real opportunity. Your stage, sir. Do what you got to do. Jay Crit says, and I have also read that there's real legitimate interest by the Washington Commanders. I just don't know why you would go lateral.
I can't imagine.
I just don't understand, especially in Washington. I mean, especially
I don't see that coach. I don't see that owner making that hire. I don't see it unless he's just trying to save face.
Because of their past. I mean,
because they're bad. Deep down
I like
inside,
the
he's
theory.
like, hell no.
My man Chufu Jordan says he thinks it'll be Reed's last year and BNB will take over the Chiefs next year. I think that would be cool. But if you're a head coach and waiting, maybe that's why you didn't go to Washington for a year with a plan already in place. That, hey man, I got one last year, so you move out your way and you go and coach on your own and call your own plays. And this shiny red toy called the Kansas City Chiefs, and all its winning and its quarterback and the momentum that they have, because both Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes in the parade basically was like, hey man, we just getting started. Maybe it's delayed gratification, and that'll be waiting on me a year. So I hope Chufu Jordan is right, but it just doesn't seem as though it makes sense that Eric Bieniemy still does not have a head coaching opportunity.
If Sheldon is right and he isn't waiting, it makes no sense for him to leave.
Yeah,
leave and do what? Stay there and keep doing and keep the continuity.
Yeah, but now it does in the sense that he wants to be from under the guidance of Andy Reid, where he's got to call his own plays. He wants to have the tires kicked on seeing other organizations, dealing with other players. I mean, it might just be sort of like it's going to prepare him. I don't know. It's first time
1 year to go. Think about it, to go somewhere for 1 year with a brand new personnel, brand new head coach, brand new everything, and think you're going to be successful and then come back. The chances are you're going to be less successful that first year when you go somewhere else. And then you won't. Then it'll look like you ain't nothing. And then the Chiefs are going to do just as good without you. I say stay. If they think Andy Reid's leaving, there's best opportunity to stay. That's to me.
Well, we hope he gets an opportunity. Let's go. Let's leave with this, man. Mahomes, greatest ever. Jalen Hurts, we gave him his flowers, but Mahomes, at the end of the day, he's hoisting the trophy. He's the MVP. Of both the Super Bowl and of the season. What are we thinking, man? Best ever, greatest of all time. Still got a long way in terms of his career, barring any serious injuries. Knock on wood. Hope he remains healthy. But he's in rare air now. He's in conversations with people who demand the greatest of all times associated with their name. Patrick Mahomes in his prime is still there. And there it is. I'm glad someone said it. And my man Nick says, pump those brakes. I knew someone was going to say you're going too fast, but I mean, it's clear eyes here that say he's been the most dominant in the AFC for several years. From a leadership standpoint, we recognized him back-to-back years as the MVP of the league. Toughness, I said it in the AFC Championship game. There are a few people that you think playing on one wheel doesn't impact. He's one of them. Byron Leftwich and Ben Roethlisberger come to mind, but Patrick Mahomes plays on one wheel.
I'd say this. There's some memes out here, and I can't find the one that showed this at this point in their career. These are all old. But there's almost no comparison between Holmes and Brady for the first part of their years, except for the Super Bowl. Statistically, Mahomes is way ahead of Brady. Right?
Way ahead. It's not even
way
close.
Ahead. Close.
Now, granted, Mahomes and Brady are in two very different situations. Brady's job initially was to be a facilitator, manager, hold things together after Bledsoe, after the transition. So, whereas Patrick Mahomes was brought in to be the franchise quarterback. So
he still had to wait a year, but
he had to wait a year, but it was obvious rather quickly that, man, we drafted freaking Jim. I wanted to make sure I put that on the screen. Get your birthday shout out too. My girl Tonya in the house.
Oh, appreciate you, Tonya.
Yeah,
appreciate you out here. Happy birthday to the old fella. We never get tired of that stuff. Anyway, but he got a long way to go. I mean, going back to my argument before.
He ain't got that long ago. He got 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but Brady has what, 7?
7. I mean, but he's been to the
double
AFC
it. He got to double it, and then he got to almost double it again. So that's a lot of championships. And to be, I mean, here's the thing: this is where I go back to the argument with LeBron and Jordan. It's like people don't want to give LeBron credit for longevity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Mahomes is fantastic, big. I'm excited about him. He's definitely Brady was never the most talented quarterback in the NFL ever. He was any given year was he ever the most talented, but
Oh, Sookie now. What you say? Repeat it. This time, what
he
basing
was
your
never
voice?
the most talented quarterback in any season. He's just a great winner,
Ooh. Oh,
and he
somebody
and he,
come
and
up
he
to
won
you. They gonna puncture
championships.
your tires. You talk about Brady not being as great. What?
The most talented quarterback every year. He was. I mean,
You're saying that Brady was never the most talented?
no, never. Not at one single year that he was in the
Technical
NFL was he the
difficulty.
most talented quarterback. But
Say
he
that one
was.
more time. Say that again. I'm sorry. I had technical difficulty. I'm in a
Say it
lobby,
slowly.
so
Tom Brady was never
do
the
do
most
do
talented quarterback in the
Matrix
NFL
for
any
me.
year that he was in the NFL ever.
Wow. I don't know
Ever.
if I'm gonna. So talented. What do you define as? What do you mean? Just like pound
I
for
mean,
pound,
people had better
physically? Like, what
arms
do you
than
mean?
Brady, been better this, more accurate, better. I mean, you just look at it and say, like, he wasn't better than Peyton Manning when Peyton Manning was in the league. There's times when Aaron Rodgers was a better quarterback there, but he was the most. He's still the GOAT when you put in the championships and all that stuff together. But really, I think I got to look and see what with his statistics. I mean, when he had Randy Moss, when he blew the stats up. But besides that, there was always somebody out there that was throwing
And they
that
didn't
thing
win
better,
that year. They didn't win that year
and they
too.
didn't win that year. They
That
won
would
with
have
him
been
once, didn't they?
if he'd have went 17 or whatever, 19-0.
But he had more than 1 year with Randy. Like he broke the touchdown record with him and all that kind of
But
stuff.
the year that everyone talks about is the year they went 16-0 in the regular season, and then they lost to the Giants or upset by the Giants in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
They came up short. That was
Oklahoma came.
the Steph Curry 73 win year
Yeah.
that they came up short, right? And that I think is what cements Eli Manning as the first ballot Hall of Famer, is that he beat the greatest of all times, not once but twice, and it prevented him from getting the if Brady wins that, if the Patriots led by Brady and Belichick win that and dethrone the 72 Dolphins with the numbers he put up that
And that
year,
was 51 years ago.
it's insurmountable.
Yeah.
No one else can ever be the GOAT, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't happen.
So my point is, like, we and try to be consistent across sports is it's not all about the stats and all about this. It's about the championships. That's what everybody's saying, right? Because that's why Jordan is the GOAT, even though he doesn't lead any stat. But like, I just think so. So with Mahomes, just arm talent and everything he's doing, these little trick shots and all that kind of stuff, he's there. But you need to keep you need to keep doing it. You need to not get hurt. You need to, and which with the way that they treat quarterbacks, not chances are he won't get hurt. But Brady was the beneficiary of that too. I think you have an opportunity there to do it, but like we cannot even think about giving him the shirt yet. You know what I mean? Like you got a long.
Hey, I'm just bringing it up, man, because look, and I do agree with everything. My man Nick said, "Pump your brakes." I'm gonna make sure I got brake fluid. I'll make sure I got brake fluid in case I gotta hit the brakes. But what I'm saying to you is, as I'm out here in San Francisco, and you go on these streets, man, they got these amazingly steep, inclines and declines.
I know.
And we are going full speed, momentum wise, down one of these doggone declines, and I'm not certain that I really need to test my brakes, because what I see is a path toward being the greatest of all times. The numbers are going to blow Brady's. It's not even going to be close when it's all said and done. If we're going to stay on this path in terms of offenses and how much he's throwing. Right now, it just comes down to championships, and I'm saying just championships. What he's been able to do in owning the AFC hasn't been done like we haven't seen this. We ain't seen this, man. So I'm comfortable saying that he's on path, but I will at least make sure my brake fluid is still in.
It's still intact.
Yeah,
I mean he's on path. Yeah, for sure. He's on trajectory, but. Let's chill. Let's enjoy the seasons for a while.
My man Nick said, "Watch for potholes flying down that hill." Hey, there's always potholes. There's injuries on the offensive line that normally, negatively influence any offense. But we all said, myself included, we gonna see now because he lost Cheetah.
Cheetah nervous?
Like, Cheetah who? Cheetah what? Cheetah who? He did it with I mean, no disrespect to disrespect to him because I'm a Browns fan. He talked a little trash, but Juju Schuster-Smith, that's nobody's number one.
Let's talk about Juju Smith. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Quickly before we get on that, go ahead. You get last word.
Is he out of pocket for declining the dude for a hold? Is that out of pocket? Is that too much? Is that too far?
That's too much for me. That's
I'm
too
not
much,
a big
especially
shit
if
talker
it was a
when it comes to
questionable call. But he's like that, right? He needs the attention. He's a USC guy. Like, I think he just needs the attention. And sometimes you got to ignore people. If I'm dude and I see him in the club, I might bust in your shit. Yeah, I might bust in your shit.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah,
like you knew you weren't gonna catch that ball, whether I PI'd you or not. And that's like with the DBs. Well, I don't know. I guess going against the DB, those are the same ones that jump up and down and act like they D'd you up when the quarterback throws into the stands.
Yeah,
they act like they did something. You were beat.
Yeah.
It's just a bad throw.
Simple yes or no. Simple yes or no answer. Is Mahomes the GOAT? No. As of today?
No.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. Someone sent it to me.
I can't wait to say yeah, though, because I'm a Mahomes fan, and I'm only lukewarm on Brady. So I can't wait to say yeah, but I need integrity.
But you got all right, fair. Let's hop into a few more things, man, because the XFL is back. And I know you've been waiting on it. XFL is finally
back.
Here. They back. Just like they
never although last time they were playing, what happened? COVID.
I know, right?
Might be bad luck, man.
Straight up pandemic. And y'all keep them coming, man. I'm assuming that no is to my question, is Mahomes the GOAT? I ask everybody, please weigh in. Is Mahomes the GOAT? And after your yes or no, qualify. Is he on path towards it? You think it'll ever happen? Is it insurmountable? Is it Brady and everybody else playing for second? Because Brady does seem like the Michael Jordan of this thing. Everybody else is playing for second. But I ask it anyway because I want to know. What I saw was a young brother showing me some amazing things. But back to XFL, man. Will it make it this time?
I think we have an appetite for it. I thought it was good football.
Vince McMahon is no longer involved, right? He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
But he didn't. I think even last time it would have survived. I think they were doing well. Matter of fact, when I thought because XFL is like this, like who cares about the players? I was thinking that when everybody shut down, the NBA shut down, I was like, the XFL would be smart to still play a couple games because that'd be the only thing left on TV. They already didn't have any fans in the stands, so it was just TV. I'm like, they might as well just keep playing. But they shut that thing down too. But I think it was good football. I think when I was watching, I enjoyed it. It was good. Shout out to Coach Jay Hayes. I know he's back in the.
Oh, good. Where's he at? Where's
which team where Jay Hayes is at? I'm gonna look that up. But I know he's back in there.
The guy who we had on here, Lamar Thomas. He's coaching down in Tampa. He's one of the coaches for. I think he went with T Buck. I know he's been on our show. Lamar Thomas, man, LT36. I'm going to start looking at. I think the truth of the matter is that the game of football is so unique to the United States. It's so American that there's always going to be talent that goes unnoticed, that goes untapped, that is on the shelf because of the limited spots you have on each one of these NFL teams. And so I think talent-wise, there's enough there. And the same is true about coaching because there is no other option. You can't go to Switzerland there are options in Europe, Italy, Germany, places that, yes, in most technical terms, there's American football as we play it, but not even the same stratosphere, caliber-wise. So you got to stay here in the States. And there's tons of coaches that don't have spots right now. So if you got good talent, you got good coaches, the only thing you need from there is a fanfare and a platform. I think with The Rock being involved, Mr. Entertainment himself, I think it has a chance to make it this time. I really do. When I look at the NBA G League and I look at some of the things that they've done with their summer league and the interest that is beyond just the NBA season, I think that XFL has a chance. What do you guys think? Our audience, you make the call. This is the You Make the Call episode. So we want you to make the call. Does the XFL make it this time? Because I feel like we've seen this movie before. But yet they still, it's like that third one, that Hulk Hogan, when they put that arm up and it's going down, but before the third time, Is this the time that the XFL is able to do a Hulk Hogan and pull itself up from the ashes, make it to that upper echelon of professional sports in the United States and these United States of America, and finally be a respectable professional sports organization?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. So Jay Hayes with
You're
the
going with
Arlington
that.
Renegades. He's gonna try and bring some pride to Dallas area. Arlington Renegades. He's coaching there, so I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be a good little thing to go, especially when it starts to compete with baseball. You know, I'm not a real big baseball guy. If you can get in there, give us some. It'll probably be over the season. I don't know how long. It's only 8 teams, so I can't imagine the season's gonna go much more than 10 or 11 weeks. So
Should be
it'll be
fun.
done
I'm
before
gonna
the
watch.
NBA. I'm gonna watch.
I'm gonna
I'm
watch as
watching
well. So we got to figure. I think the opening kickoff is Saturday.
Saturday. Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So you have 4 games a weekend. That's plenty. You know, you get to watch and see what's going on.
Hey man,
You
I'm
know,
gonna pop a cold
selfishly, I'd
one.
like to just see give more opportunity for people to play professional football. Canada, I don't know what's going on up there, man.
Different game. But we'll see, man. Rooting for The Rock now that he is taken over, and he has been a business mogul in the sports entertainment space for a long time. So rooting for him. Yep, Jay Crit is on it. Says The Rock owns XFL. So
Partial.
rooting for The Rock, man. Rooting for The Rock. Let's do this, man. If anybody can do it in terms of entertainment, I think they've gotten back to the thing that's most important in football is the football. The entertainment cannot supersede the football. So should be fun. Pop a beer, watch some football, support these athletes that now have another chance. A lot of them, were in camps and didn't make it. And so NFL camps didn't make it. So root for the XFL. Let's get to the NBA real quick, man, because Adam Silver this week came out on a podcast and said that there is a discipline. Officials get disciplined for bad calls. There's a mechanism put in place. Now, the mechanism that he described is sort of, I think it wasn't exactly what I was thinking when he talked about it. And let me see if I can find that. He says, let me see if I can find it. Of course, I lost it. But basically, he was saying that the discipline effect of the NBA refs is essentially, no, I can't find it on here. Darn it. Let's see. Is essentially they get pulled from games. Here we go. I found it. I found it. They get pulled from games if they don't do what they are expected to do. If they make an inordinate amount of bad calls, let's see. They don't publicize it. Let's see what they say. But their assignments are affected by the quality. These are Adam Silver's exact words. I'm quoting him. But and the they he is talking about here is the NBA officials. Their assignments are affected by the quality of their calls, whether or not they progress into the playoffs, and then round by round is impacted by the accuracy of their calls and their demeanor on the floor. He then says, based on that information, so there is a system for overseeing and making those judgments about officials, but more to your earlier point about getting the calls right, that's again not a new issue. Do you think that is sufficient in terms of disciplining the refs? That it impacts the games that you get, your opportunities? He says that they don't publicize it. Do you think that's sufficient? Because in this episode of You Make the Call, where we started off talking about what is questionable at, best, egregious, and some would say, the fix was in at worst when it came to that Super Bowl holding call. We don't know that referee's name. We talked about the call that was not made with your boy LeBronis. I can't believe we were saying his name on Michael Jordan's birthday, but I'm going to go ahead and be sacrilegious and say that man's name on Michael Jordan's birthday. But the call that was not made in that Boston game and his reaction to it, we still don't know that ref's name.
We shouldn't.
And you don't think we should? Why?
The game is not about the refs. It's about them. We want to keep the focus 100% on the players in the game, and the refs are supposed to just be seamless. We know some of these guys' names just because they've been around for a while, and usually it's the better refs. I hate baseball that they have the umpires get in the guy's face and bait them into saying more stuff, and they yell back, and then they kick them out the game. I hate that. I hate it in soccer. The amount of power the ref has. He's the only person in the whole stadium that knows when the game is going to end. It's all his decision and all that stuff. I hate all that. I think in basketball, I don't think they should make it public what the discipline is. They have a motivational thing in place to make sure that they have a reason to want to get the call right. They're going to get punished if they don't. I don't feel like there's any use in trying to shame these guys and trying to make it some big thing where the media starts talking about refs and all that stuff and getting external pressures. And they should remain nameless guys or women on the court doing what they're doing, and they handle their own business and try to get the calls better and try to get it whatever. I think that's good when they come out and the league comes out and tells you whether the call was right or wrong. I do think that's good, but let's keep these people nameless. I mean, they're already whooping refs, killing refs in other countries over soccer games, and they don't need any more than they got. They should come out there with masks on their face. That's what I think. They should come out there in a full WWF mask assailant outfit, so nobody knows who they are, and let them go do what they're going to do. But there's no what's the use of anybody knowing what the punishment was? Who cares? You feel better if he missed? If he lost money, that make you feel better? He got money out of his check. You feel better about the game now?
Yeah, I believe if you want people to do better, they got to face some stiff consequences and getting a game that you didn't already have anyway, and being scheduled at different games and the quality of games. To me, is I disagree with you. I think that the discipline process should call guys out because two reasons. A, they are getting paid handsomely. Let's be clear. NBA refs getting paid. My man's cleaned up in the back here.
That's good.
Getting paid. And the other reason I think that you should call them out is because I think it would prevent some of the calls that are. You said that, hey man, it's not about the refs, it's about the players. I agree with you theoretically, but in other situations, like the impact of game, even with that Lakers game, that ref impacted the game. The Super Bowl, that ref impacted the game. So I think that at the end of the day, discipline should be something that you got to face public scrutiny, and I think it will prevent you from making egregious calls. Just like a player can get blamed for losing a game, I think the refs should be called by name when they make a bad call as a part of their discipline system.
Here at the Ball Hog Sports, we don't have dedicated studio time. Sometimes we have to work in with people cleaning in the background, but no big deal.
I know.
I just think, I'm going to answer Sheldon. I'm going to be mad if they make a bad call and cheat LeBron out of his championship that he deserves and will earn eventually before he retires. Yeah, but I don't need to know this guy's name. I don't think that person needs to be part of the media. Do you want the refs to start giving post-game interviews now? Because if they're going to give your name, they should be able to defend themselves. You want to see these guys get interviewed? You want to see them on ESPN talking?
I want to be on ESPN defend. I would love to see the ref from the Super Bowl be on ESPN and defend that call and why he made it. And after looking at it after the fact in slow motion, hearing all of the analysis, I'm sure they watch sports shows too. Hearing the critique, I would love to hear his thesis behind defending that call. Absolutely. I like that. Sign it up. Before we go on, hold on, I want to make sure I pointed this out because here at the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, entertainment collide, when there is a good idea, we want to share it. And a broken clock is right twice a day because Sheldon, I think, has a great idea. He thinks the USFL and the XFL, right, who are getting that spring audience, he thinks that at the end of the season, the two champions should play each other. That actually is, I like that idea. Actually, great idea. Anyway, I digress. We move forward. If they use that idea, make sure you get paid on it, Sheldon, and make sure that the Ball Hog Sports Talk is there at Media Row. But I digress. Disciplining refs, you think that it should remain anonymous and let them live their life despite the fact that they impacted all of these, wagers, bad beats made possible by refs. The fact that they're impacting outcomes, people went home crying, man. Philadelphia
Somebody
Eagles,
gonna
the
find
city
these.
of
It's bad
Philadelphia.
enough that you can look these refs up if you really needed to. Somebody
Yeah, but I
gonna
don't think
find somebody.
that's when you know
Somebody
they're
gonna go
crazy.
find the ref
Somebody
at the
gonna look.
house,
No, that's when
chase
you know
their
they're
kid to
crazy. Somebody look.
school because you made
When
the
they
wrong
look at the
call.
ref up, that's when you know someone's crazy. But I talked to somebody in Philadelphia the day after the Super Bowl, and it was a coworker, and I was calling him about work. He was just like, "Man, he's like, man, it's like a big funeral here in the entire city." I mean, Philly really thought they had won that game, man. So, and that call impacted it. So, the NFL doesn't do
Be
it
like
all.
that sometimes.
Yeah, life ain't fair. I get you.
No.
I get you. Yep. Let's get into a few more things, man, before we get out of here for the day. It is hour 20. I am on the West Coast. I am in San Fran, and I am also going to do what we always do. Ask you at this point, humbly, please like, comment, share. Please tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. Please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to our podcast. I might be having Wi-Fi issues, spotty Wi-Fi in the hotel lobby. So apologies. Prepaid. But after you hook us up, it won't cost you anything to like, comment, share, tag someone, and to subscribe. It won't cost you anything. It's free. After you do that, then let's hop into the final two topics, man. Because while they are talking about disciplining the refs, the trade deadline happened, and we saw that the West got real smoky. You talked about LeBron and this mythical championship. I don't know what the hell you and Shelton were just talking about. You're talking LeBron championship. LeBron James, I don't know what's going on. And it's, again, sacrilegious because this is Michael Jordan's birthday. Happy birthday to the GOAT. But yet here we are at this moment where my question is, who comes out the West? And if you got the audacity to fix your face and say the Lakers, I want you to say it now on the record in front of everybody, and we're recording, who comes out the West?
Lakers in 6. I don't know who said that shit. But who gonna come out the
you
West?
ain't got me on camera stealing no boxes. You ain't caught me on camera predicting no Lakers.
It could have been anybody besides behind my sweatshirt. You have no idea who it was. I don't care if it sounded like me.
It's real smoky over there, man. Who comes out that West, bro? Because now you got KD and the Suns.
I gotta go with the Suns.
You gotta go to the Suns. I don't know, but look, Luka and Kyrie look good together. Other than the other night, they didn't know who should take the last shot because everyone was complaining, saying there's only one basketball. And people were saying it from a completely different stance. That they thought that they were going to be hogging the basketball, which we like here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. But the truth of the matter is, neither one of them had any ball hog in them at that moment. 10 seconds left. They go passing it back and forth. It reminded me of the days of the early days of LeBron and D Wade. When they were trying to figure out who takes the shot in that moment. That does take some trial and error. But Dallas looks good. You know, the Clippers, I think Russell Westbrook eventually goes back to the Clippers. You hear Pat Bev talk about he said it wasn't basketball stuff, but he was alluding to some of the circus that comes with the Lakers. And, you know, it makes me wonder whether or not while on the floor with D'Angelo Russell now, you saw the other night, they looked really good. The ball was moving, and they looked really good when they had all their pieces, including AD. Does the off the court stuff that Pat Bev alluded to put a kink in their armor and prevent them from getting there? Who comes out the West, man? There's a lot of stories to each one of those teams.
You just quoted Pat Bev as a reason for someone's behavior being questioned. You need more people. Patrick Beverly. He said it, and now we're talking about it. What are we doing here? What kind of show is this? What kind of free for all are you turning this into?
I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. Look, I think the Lakers definitely. There's no reason why the Lakers aren't better than they are. There really isn't. I just don't know what to tell you. They should be a good basketball team, man. They got good pieces.
They got all the pieces, but
it's not good. I don't know what it is. I'm starting to have a hard time.
His curl really.
It just doesn't. You know what I mean? It just doesn't curl. I don't know. It's just still straight. So if the Lakers turned it around and started balling and doing well and made a run, nobody should really be surprised, right? Like
they should. No,
it shouldn't be a shock. So I can't count them out until they're statistically out of it.
But they're getting close to being statistically out of it. Stephen A. went on camera. He did what you wouldn't do. and not only said that he expected to make the playoffs, make it out of the first round, but he did qualify with a big old asterisk. One of them, I mean, that asterisk is so big. He said, if they're healthy, right? Like that's a part of the narrative because you got Anthony. I'm not gonna call him out his name, Anthony Davis. I'm not doing what you do. I'm calling that man by his name, the Brow. I call him the Brow. I call him at least something that he appreciates. You call him Mr. Glass. So health is a part of it, but he went on to say that not only do you think they're going to make it to the playoffs, but out of the first round. I can't see it. I feel like it's too far gone. There is no chemistry, and even with D'Angelo Russell, now you brought in someone else that I think is a floor general and makes them better with spacing and better shooter, but someone who has never been described as a peacemaker when it comes to what he does in the locker room. He doesn't help with chemistry. And when it comes to scoring, they didn't need another scorer. So I can't see how that's going to be the difference maker. I don't see the Lakers being able to rally enough in that conference. If they're in the Eastern Conference, for sure. I think they can rally enough to make it to the playoffs. But your rally is going to be in the face of so much smoke in that West. It's just a lot of smoke over there.
When is KD supposed to get back?
I think KD's back right after All-Star. I think he's been cleared to do 3-on-3 scrimmaging, but not yet 5-on-5. I might be misquoting that, but they're having those conversations.
I gotta say Suns, just because I'm trying to keep my credibility high. But they're gonna play in the Western Conference Championship against LeBron.
Against who?
LeBron and them, man.
LeBron James. That was just me poking fun of you, man. Let's go quickly, man. Last story before we get out of here with our Ball Hog Spotlight moment. We'll do one more story, and that story is NIL. There is a young man in Georgia. Georgia. I used to be able to sing that a little bit better. But despite my melody not being there, this topic, name, image, and likeness, is something that we discussed ad nauseum when it comes to colleges. But most states have come up with some sort of legislation that allows their athletes in general, which includes high school athletes, to be compensated for name, image, and likeness. Georgia, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were not going to be one of those states. So while Georgia is one of the top producers of college football talent and other sports, but we're talking about football in this case, those high school athletes, those prep athletes cannot, by way of law, be compensated for their name, image, and likeness. And so that prompted one Georgia prep star to relocate, go to another school. He's embroiled in some big controversy now. His eligibility has been questioned. The promises for whatever the NIL deal was fell apart. So I digress. That's not the story, but it leads us to this moment where Julian Lewis, who's considered one of the most talented quarterbacks in the country, he started as a freshman and threw for 48 touchdowns. He's got 35 college offers at the ripe young age of 15 years old. And now his dad and his family are put into a juxtaposition, if you will, in this sort of legal reality that in the state of Georgia, you can't be compensated for name, image, and likeness. Business reality such that high school football stars at quarterback are getting paid for the name, image, and likeness. And so now we're at this crossroads. Julian Lewis and his family say that they don't have any plans. Julian Lewis's coach was the same coach for Trevor Lawrence in high school. His trainer was the same trainer for Justin Fields. And everyone says he has the goods, but the state of Georgia says he cannot be paid for those goods. Name, image, and likeness. A strikingly handsome young man that is unfortunately on the wrong end of the law when it comes to Georgia state law and whether or not high school athletes can get paid and still maintain their eligibility. So at this crossroads, I ask you, man, what do you do? As a parent, do you move and in doing so signify the importance of that compensation, or stay put like they're doing? At the quarterback, should he said it. I'm just a 15-year-old kid, man. I just want to enjoy football. But I think his I want to call it naivete. I don't call it not naive, but the pureness of it will wear off soon when you realize you're passing up $1 million per year that you can never get back. So here we are. What say you, Big Flo? You make the call.
It's a difficult situation. You look at child actors and different people who very young age just started getting put all this pressure on them and making money, and then they turn out to be Macaulay Culkin or Drew Barrymore, one of these people that was all drugged up and do whatever. That's
Right.
one side. But on the other side, I can tell you from my experience, you could say, I'm sure you'll agree from your experience. I can look at my son's experience. It ain't just playing football once you get on that. Once you get recognized by the college, it's no longer that. That's the day you start getting recruited and start doing that until the day you commit. I think when you commit, you get a little bit of a lull before you go to school, but it's not football anymore. It's not just a game with your buddies. Like you're out there doing your thing, and it's all for all the marbles. So that being said, I mean, if the kid does not want to move, it's difficult, right? But at the same time, money ain't everything, man, but it sure is a lot, right? If you can get a couple $1 million in somebody's hands when they're young and you are smart about it and you don't let it ruin the kid, you change the trajectory of the comfort of the rest of their life forever.
Yeah.
So if my son at 15 or my daughter at 15 years old can make a few $1 million before they got to college, and then by the time they're 22, if they're a complete bust and they don't make it and they've got $6-7 million somewhere or whatever the heck the dollar amount is that's going to start their life out, I'll put that against any Ivy League education or anything that you're going to go get, because they can go do whatever makes their heart content, and then they have that kind of bread to be ready. It changes a lot. So I can't really pass up a lot of money for something. I mean, it's one thing as they say, all right, you got to play football with no pads on or something like that's different. You know what I mean? It's risking their life. But if you can play here in Georgia for free, or you can go to whatever state that they allow you to get paid, and you, there's cool people over there. They got girls over there. They've got people in the stands. You know what I mean? They got everything you like. You'll be pretty popular kid when you get there. It'll work out. I think
And that's become the norm. A lot of these top athletes in football and basketball, but even in track, look at IMG. But a lot of these top prep athletes are going to academies. There are people that move to Florida to go to schools like the illustrious St. Thomas Aquinas or the greater Fort Lauderdale, Florida area. I had to say that. Yeah. Or IMG. Or Mount Verde, or right. But point being is that's not a normal thing. And so you've got this kid saying, hey man, I'm just a kid. You know what I mean? I want to enjoy football. The purity of it makes you happy as someone who's played the game and understand that it's going to become business so soon, and they're going to rip the Band-Aid off, and your enjoyable moments in the locker room, laughing and cracking jokes with teammates and all that. Soon that becomes secondary to, hey man, what have you done for me lately? We've got this big bad transfer portal that says either you're going to take advantage of that seat or we got to find somebody else in it. And then that's pre-professional, air quote, professional sports. It's college. It's still considered amateurism. So you know what's coming. He's got 35 scholarship offers. So more than likely he's going to be a college quarterback somewhere. I think Georgia, in this particular situation, I think it sort of embodies all of the conversations we've had about this conflict, this inherent conflict of knowing that there is a value in name, image, and likeness, but also knowing that there's something that doesn't feel right about, feels more like exploitation as the crowd comes through the lobby. So Georgia's got a decision to make. I'll give you last word on it in terms of what the decision should be. I'm going to have my students, right? I teach a sports finance class, and so they're going to listen to this segment, this part of this program, of this show. You make the call, and that's going to be the assignment. You make the call. What should Georgia do? As a state legislator, what do you do when you're at that crossroads? Are you missing out on what could be additional value, additional revenue as people flock to your state and support your economy because they want to play in one of these prep programs that has a good platform and get name, image, and likeness deals, right? Are they cutting off their nose to spite their face? And are we trying to pretend that amateurism is still a thing? Because with social media and the following that these young people have at such a young age, with the camps that they're involved in at such a young age, with the trainers that they have at such a young age, the truth of the matter is that we've been investing in this young athlete and treating him as a professional athlete for a long time. So now all of a sudden that we've gotten to this point that there is a revenue stream and a value associated with his name, image, and likeness. Now we've gotten to the point where he can take advantage of it, and Georgia says no. How should Georgia approach it? How should our students, that's going to be their assignment. But what do we tell the state of Georgia looking at this conflict holistically? How do we solve it?
I don't understand why high school even has a rule on that. Like, I understand the college level, whatever, but why does high school even feel like they can tell you what you can go do as far as making money?
Well, the different athletic associations dictate in every state, right? I'm sorry,
but I'm saying, who are you to govern me off the field? I mean, high school is limited towards should be grades, residency, and whatever. But like, if you get caught drinking at a party, the IHSA, which is the Illinois High Schools Athletic Association, I may have said that wrong, but they don't suspend you. Your school does. Like I don't see why they could be even meddling in whether you make money. Now, a state like Georgia,
they determine all states, and I'm just answering. You're not saying it's the right, but I'm giving you the answer that might help kind of drive this particular part of the conversation. But they dictate eligibility.
No, I get that. I understand the blocking and tackling of it. What I don't understand is why do they feel like this is their business, whether or not you make money? I mean, you have a job, you can do whatever. You can be a model. You could be a model that does football stuff. You can do whatever you want to go do. And then they're just telling you that you can't do the NIL. It just seems like one of those things that the college level had the rule. They just maybe adopted it, but they should get rid of it as soon as possible. So at the end of the day, I think for a place like Georgia that cares more about football than they do about anything else other than church, probably, I think they need to change the rule because once this guy leaves, it's going to be an open and revolving door. People are just going to come in there picking people off in the states that they care about football that don't have NIL rules. We'll just start picking these kids off and they'll be doing it. So it doesn't hurt anybody for these kids to get paid at that level. It's not going to be that many kids that get paid, and they're going to be very upset when people decide to leave. So I said let them get paid.
And we saw that during COVID, the decision for some states not to let their athletes play. Let them play resulted in athletes moving around. And I think the decision in this case of Georgia, state of Georgia, but not allowing them to get paid is going to have similar ramifications. And we're going to have free agency in high school, which I think is only going to make it worse, at least if they stay in state and there's some semblance of normalcy with, staying in your own home and living the life that you live, going to the same school. I think it allows us to protect some of the amateurism aspects of what is a big sports business, even at the high school level at this juncture in our lives. Let's go home with this, man. Ball hog spotlight moment, and our ball hog spotlight moment. Each one of us is going to get an opportunity to get the ball and do ball hog like things. But this ball hog spotlight moment is brought to you by Excessive Celebration Entertainment. Where the events are much more than just a party. They're always an experience. And we're going to start with you because you're in the Middle Coast and I'm on the Pacific Coast. So we'll start with you first, Middle Coast. This ball hog spotlight moment, the ball's going to my man, the Big Flow Show. and I know he's going to do ball hog things. What you got for us in sports business entertainment?
I got to give a shout out to the hot team on the block right now, right in my backyard. My hometown team, my son's college, the Northwestern Wildcat basketball team. These guys are on a tear right now. They have a 19-7 overall record. Most importantly, they beat for the first time in school history. They beat number one Purdue at home. Then they followed up, and everyone said, "Hey, I was lucky." They went back and they beat Indiana for the second time this year. That was ranked 14th. Um, they did this, and to all those people who hate the transfer portal, this they should be your Cinderella team because they lost Pete Nance and Ryan Young. One went to North Carolina, one went to Duke, both starting for those organizations or those colleges, and they bounced back and having the best year that they've had in a long time. Super exciting. Can't get tickets. They don't know what to do. It's a mess over there now, trying to figure out all the students on campus want to go to the games, but they can't get tickets anymore. Now, it's shame on the school, though, because what I heard is they're selling some of the student section on the street. They're trying to recoup some of the bucks from all those years that they couldn't sell popcorn. But they're doing it, man. I just think they're a great, exciting team. I'm happy to see it, and I look forward to making them make the NCAA tournament for the second time in school history.
Good stuff, man. Shout out to the Wildcats. So the ball goes to me in this ball hog spotlight moment. Disregard all of the background noise, y'all. Apologies. But to me, the topic in the story that I had to at least address, and I don't have the answer. I don't have the solution. I just have a lot of venom in my heart when it comes to this topic. Notre Dame's offensive coordinator hiring process has been, I celebrate when my alma mater does great things. I celebrated them making the right call and hiring Marcus Freeman. I celebrated that. I celebrated when, we did the unthinkable and beat Clemson. I celebrate Notre Dame in those moments. But when I hear, and a lot of it is rumor induced, I don't know what's true, what's fact, what's fiction. But when I hear of a offensive coordinator hiring process that has been what I would consider just an abysmal failure of being willing to step up and expend the resources necessary to get the help you need. You can't keep hiring from within and hoping that homegrown talent is going to make the difference. The best programs, Clemson, Alabama, fill in the blank, USC, they're busy hiring the best coaches. And they're able to do that from a talent standpoint by being competitive and spending the resources necessary to win. You can't have this amazing value called Notre Dame football and not be willing to spend to protect the value of it. And more importantly, seeing Marcus Freeman as a young brother that got an opportunity as a second black coach hired at Notre Dame. I remember the Tyrone Willingham fiasco. It bothers me because the last thing I want to happen is that this brother doesn't get the resources he needs to win. And then we're talking about, oh, man, well, here is his record, yada, yada, yada. You got to have the best talent in the building. When I say building in the coaching offices, you got to have the best talent in order to win. That's from a player standpoint. Yes, we every year during recruiting, during signing day, we look and analyze what the rankings were with recruits. There is a season that is recruiting. But the same thing is true with hiring. You got to hire a good coach. And if the rumors are true, shame on you, Notre Dame. If they're not true, I still think that you got to put a little more effort and a lot more resources in the hiring processes go down. And I don't think that's necessarily a Marcus Freeman thing because there are some academic challenges that Notre Dame faces that are unique. And those academic challenges when it comes to recruit, I think is similar in terms of character challenges that they have in hiring coaches. And yeah, I'll say it that way. But Notre Dame, if you want to be at the big boy table, you got to do big boy things. And I hope that this offense coordinator that they promoted from within, the tight end coach, is wildly successful. But it makes me scratch my head when you look at how Alabama hires and what their processes look like and who they are going out to get and what they're paying them and what we just saw with Notre Dame. and getting that offensive coordinator role filled. That's my ball hog spotlight moment topic. From there, you guys keep on chiming in, man. We do see that you're still weighing in. Don't feel as though the show being over prevents you from weighing in. We still ask you to like, comment, share. We still ask you to tag a friend and tag a foe. Even in the after show, they can listen to it after the fact. And as always, as always, we ask you to subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. It's been 2 of the 3. It has been the man, the myth, the legend. A day after his birthday. Some people, the day after their birthday, they sleep in all day, but not Big Flow Show.
Gotta work.
He's up, he's at it, and he's doing his thing. He reported for duty. I am your boy, B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hall, aka the Mouth of the South, aka Mr. Excessive Celebration, aka Breezy, coming to you from Silicon Valley, man. That's why I got on the black V-neck. You know what I'm saying? You know, hopefully we get some of these vibes, Silicon Valley vibes, man, as we continue to build this show. We can't do it without you, so we thank you for your support. We thank you in advance for doing what we ask you to do. Like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody, and to subscribe. Share us with someone else so we can share our insights on sports, business, entertainment, what we do here at the Ball Hog Sports Talk. And we do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. This has been the You Make the Call episode. Make sure I put a few of these in. All y'all said have a great weekend. I know that y'all gonna go have yourselves a great weekend too. Be blessed. Happy birthday again, my brother. Big Flow Show. And prayers to the family of Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia, the Essex County Predators, and everyone impacted by that tragedy. With that, man, any parting words you got?
Nope.
In that case, we is out. Peace.